Before her time in D.C., Justice Ginsburg's life began in our area. A Brooklyn native, a Columbia Law School graduate, a Rutgers University law professor, all before her groundbreaking work for the ACLU Women's Rights Project and as the 107th Supreme Court Justice. Here with more insight on the legacy of Ruth Bader Ginsburg is Donna Lieberman, Executive Director of the New York Civil Liberties Union. Good morning to you, Donna. How you doing?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Looking forward to this conversation here because, in the last week, we have really learned so much about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We knew a lot, but now we're really looking at the intricacies that may not have fallen through the cracks throughout the years, right? Including her time as a law professor at Rutgers University, and that's where you studied law while she was there. So I got to ask, did you know about her before you even started school there?
Oh, yeah, I knew about her. I used to pass her office practically every day. My mentor in law school was, at that time, a rock star civil rights lawyer, Arthur Knoy, and I was constantly back and forth to his office. On the way there, the same corridor at Rutgers Law School, door open, standing at her desk, poring over some document or other, was Ruth Ginsburg. And she was, she was known, loved, and respected while she was at Rutgers, but she wasn't yet the rock star.
Yeah, she was one of the first few female law professors at the time. I think there were 20 total female professors throughout the entire country at the time. Did you realize while you were in law school that having a female professor at your school was such a rarity?
Oh, yeah, we knew it. I was a law student at a time when our numbers were real progress. There were maybe 20% women in my class. And so it was a time when, part of the culture was that women were not, major players in the legal profession. And in order to be a major player, in order to have a voice, you had to be a superstar. So yeah, we were aware of it, and Justice Ginsburg was instrumental in the change. Before she got to Rutgers, there weren't any classes on women's rights. There wasn't a publication on women's rights. She was instrumental in changing all that. And when she left, the law school was almost 50% women, and in student body, and we had classes and publications.
She graduated at the top of her class at Columbia Law, couldn't get a job, right? And when she did get to Rutgers, even when she did break that barrier of becoming a female professor, she was told that she'd be paid less than male colleagues because she had a husband with a well-paying job. So after you graduated law school, do you think that her establishing that mark of saying, okay, I can do this, I was a professor, I deserve to be paid, that began the change moving forward for law firms to start hiring women as well?
Well, it was certainly an important step. No one person did this themselves. She was part of, and she led, and she pushed forward an incredible movement for women's equality. And the changes were just palpable over even my lifetime. And now it would be unthinkable to have a different standard for men and women. But, it's not unthinkable for women to get paid less. When you do the surveys, women still get paid less than men in comparable positions. So we still have a ways to go.
Yeah, and we've covered it quite often here on Pix 11. RBG went on to work for the ACLU Women's Rights Project, like you mentioned earlier. What do you know of her work there, and why do you feel, for those who may not know, why it was so impactful?
Well, if you bring yourself back to the 1970s, when women's role and opportunities in our society were so much less, to found a women's rights project at the ACLU, which, despite its fabulous principles, at the time, was still a product of its era. So this was an amazing and important contribution to the movement for women's equality. And that project continues to this day under the leadership of Rhea Tobacco Moore, and has brought the most important cases, or some of them, to protect and to establish women's equality. And that women's rights have become foundational, not just for women, but for men and for the LGBTQ movement.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The impact on the LGBTQ rights, women's rights, was so impactful. And this rock star status, this pop icon status that we come to know now, really was going on from the time you were in college. It just wasn't known about. And I just want to get to, we only have a few seconds left, how she impacted such a younger generation at the age of 87 years old. And you have a picture you want to share that will really strengthen that point of the impact she had.
Check this out. Can you see that?
I mean, who is that?
That's my granddaughter, Karina B. And you know, how many justices of the Supreme Court have a doll made for them? You know, how many 6-year-olds are looking up to a Supreme Court justice? And this is just like, you know, it speaks volumes. She is a rock star. She will always be a rock star and a role model of courage and grit and brilliance for the next generation and for mine as well.
And, you know, I learned yesterday that she loved opera and that she really was a rock star. Donna Lieberman, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing that picture of your granddaughter as well, and for reflecting this morning on the life and legacy of Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Thank you.